back to the future livecast. Why am I talking like a robot? I don't know. This is number 36 in the never-ending stream of never-ending. And for the last, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 weeks, we've had Warren Sklar on. But as everybody knows, he is currently off on a boat.
Vacationing?
He's on a boat, man. What's up with that? And so instead, for this week, we have Mike Edom. You're on, Mike. How you doing?
Have to correct. EDM. Letters.
EDM. Oh, okay, I thought it was Edom. So it's actually EDM.
It actually stands for electronic dance music, but I used to be a promoter back in the day, and I would be the one to throw the parties.
Okay, so it's Mike EDM.
Yes.
You don't pronounce all the letters together.
No, not at all.
Okay, that works for me. Couple things before we get started. If you're watching this on Facebook, thank you very much. If you want to participate even further when we get to that part, and I will let you know when it is, you can go over to the Mac to the Future Go website. The link to it is there at the bottom of the screen. Hit the MTTF live player and you'll see it right there on the screen. Follow the instructions and you can get a hold of us right through there or on your smartphone or Google Voice or Skype or however you want to do those things. You can also dial 701-801-4367 and then dial 5 and you'll be on with us. Now, Mike, when I talked to you last week about this, a couple things that you had suggested to talk about. One of them was you wanted to talk about business tools for the Mac.
It's actually something I am familiar with, at least. I use all sorts of Apple tools.
Sure.
Within my own business.
Well, you can go ahead and promote your business if you want. I mean,
Zen Computers. We're actually here in Santa Clara, the Bay Area, South Bay.
And what is that phone number, Mike?
It is 408-508-4622.
That number again, please.
And that number again is 408-508-4622.
Yeah,
and that is actually not to call in. Please don't call me while we're doing the webcast.
Yeah, don't do that. But that's my DJ voice. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's your radio voice there.
Radio voice, right.
We'll see. I can drop into that every once in a while.
Okay, let's hear it, Mike.
Not at the moment. I am on the spot. We're on the spot this whole time, actually.
Exactly. Well, it's live, so everything that's going on is going on. As far as business tools go for your business, what kind do you use? I mean, are you using like MS Office or anything like that?
And of course, somebody wants to call in at the same time. Of course. Oh my gosh!
You know what? I bet it's. We have 3 people right now on watching this on Facebook, and I bet it was one of them that just tried to call.
Oh, I'm sure it is, and it sounded very official, like that was the number. So no, actually, I have an iPad set up here, which actually rang off of my phone. I typically have the iPad actually on not a stand, but an arm that just puts it out there, and I monitor a lot of different things. A phone call comes up, that screen changes. I identify it, go to my phone. I use the iPad for signing people in. They type their name, either themselves or me. I do have a system set up where I can actually hand it to them and they type in their name and their computer and it checks them into the system.
All right. It's very similar to what Apple does when you walk into an Apple store.
Can you check yourself in?
Well, I mean, they check you in when you come in, but it's all done through iOS devices.
So yeah, it's a very similar system for at least on my side on checking them in. I've been trying to push that more and more to get maybe a second tablet to actually check them in. Right now, I rather than me hand them my tablet to them, which I've done maybe 3 times, I'll do it myself to check them in. But yeah, I mean, I've been using the tablet for a business tool for years.
Is there a particular program that you use to do that, to do the check-in?
Actually, it's a web app, so it's just a web page.
Okay.
Basically. I previously did have an iPad app, which was Invoice to Go, which was it dedicated app. You would check somebody in or make an invoice with their name and everything. And that was really robust, but it was just an invoice. So it wasn't a complete system to check computers in. Their customer database within that app was kind of lacking.
Clunky?
Yeah, it was just for an invoice. Basically, I think if you went to a location and somebody wanted a receipt, you would write up an invoice for them, and that would be it.
Okay, so what are you using now for invoicing and things along those lines?
I'm actually using Repair Shopper, which is a lot of computer shops actually have been using, and I think another computer shop recommended it to me. I looked it up, and it's geared towards computer repair shops. So you have
is it like cross-platform, or is it another web app?
So yeah, being a web app, yeah, definitely cross-platform. But yeah, I've used it on a PC actually before. That's a bad word here. I actually do have about 4 different computer systems, all turned on while in the office. One of them being the PC, another one being a huge Hackintosh desktop.
Ooh, I want to hear about that.
1 second.
Okay.
So, lost my thought there.
Sorry. No, you were talking about the different computers that you have there in the office, and you said you have a Windows PC, you've got your regular Mac desktop, you've got a Hackintosh, and what else you got? Now, are you actually in your office right now?
I actually am in my office right now. I actually have an Apple TV behind me. I actually use that as a monitor system. Everything from looking up things, which is actually in low resolution from the Hackintosh, to actually shooting things over from a customer laptop. Say I'm testing something, I'll shoot a YouTube video over there and, well, actually watch the YouTube video as a test to just see that the computer is running and working. So.
Okay. Now, what about things like Office applications? Do you use MS Office, or are you using one of the open source ones?
I actually don't use Office at all. I don't think for anything.
Really?
So Word itself, which is the major application out of there, I don't write any documents out of Word. I know a lot of other businesses use Excel for different reasons, for spreadsheets. I use QuickBooks, and I don't have any spreadsheets for Excel. So yeah, I don't think
which is also cross-platform
for QuickBooks.
Yeah,
I use the web app. Yeah, so that would be cross-platform.
Okay, but one of the things that I'm finding very interesting is, in a time, Steve Jobs some time ago was talking about how PCs are trucks, and these mobile devices are cars, and basically the entire structure of computing was changing, and it was at a time, right now we're seeing the PC market is selling less and less computers every single year. Oddly enough, Apple is selling more and more Macs every single year since like 2002. But the weird thing is, over the last couple years, since the advent of the iPhone and the iPad, more and more businesses are actually giving their employees a choice over what platform it is that they want to use in the office, and they're supporting both Macs and Windows PCs. I don't know what percentage Linux might fit in there, but I think a lot of it has to do for the very same reasons that you use some of the tools that you do, that they're web apps. They're not like strictly written for one platform or the other. I mean, with how you use computers in your office, it sounds like it doesn't really matter that much whether it was a Mac or a PC.
Definitely with one of the tools I have. Yeah, it's definitely a web app that I'm able to basically log into any computer and look up the phone number to a customer, look up information on a customer. So yeah, definitely that's quite powerful. But yeah, no, I've definitely liked Apple's products, especially the iPad, to be very, very mobile. I did consider actually getting another tablet, basically for price, cheaper tablet.
Yeah.
And it tried and failed. The Android tablets that are out there for $100
They're awful.
are $100 worth of crap. I mean,
Yeah, they're not even worth $100. I picked up. I
Yeah.
can't even tell you what the name of it was, but it had a I think it was a 4-core Atom processor and 2 gigs of RAM, and
which sounds awesome, but no.
No, but the thing was, it was running, and this is the big problem with Android. If you're not running a Google branded device, then you're running some piece of crap that has the operating system changed in a way that helps the manufacturer of the device or the whoever you're getting your, say it's a has cellular capability. It's going to either be for the benefit of the company that is providing you with cellular capability or the company that actually manufactured the tablet. Either way, it's not going to be the pure Android experience, and you can forget about updates. You can forget about relative safety. You don't really know whether or not they're actually monitoring what it is you're doing. Some of them you can't even go to the Google Play Store. If I was going to buy an Android tablet, I would either get I can't think of what Google calls their Android tablets, but I know that there are a couple that you can get that are like pure Android. Or I would kind of go in the opposite direction, because the only company that seems to actually be making money at selling Android tablets is Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah, with the Kindles.
They've got a Kindle, and I guess they've got the Fire. And then I think there's a couple of variations of those. Yeah.
And it's, they're not so much making money on the tablets themselves. They're making money on the back-end services. So you get a Kindle tablet, and now maybe you want Amazon Music, or maybe you want Amazon Prime to get their TV shows. Either way, they're basically selling these tablets at more or less a loss just to get you into their ecosystem, because that's where Amazon really makes their money.
I think there's one that actually has advertising, full page advertising.
Oh, sure. And it's almost free, and it's from, I've never have bought anything like that, and I never would. But from some of the people that I know that have bought them, they say it's relatively unintrusive. You go to fire up a book or watch a movie or something along those lines, and for like 30 seconds you see an ad. Okay, that's not great, but it's also not horrible either, especially at the prices that they sell those tablets.
I think I'm one of the few people that actually like advertisements for the fact that they actually subsidize whatever you're not paying for, basically.
Well, unless they're trying to double dip. You've got something like CBS All Access, and their big draw right now is Star Trek Discovery.
Yes.
Well, they have 2 different tiers. They have like a $6 tier and I think a $10 or $12 tier. The $6 tier gets you their back catalog of TV shows, and not just Star Trek, but whatever shows that the Columbia Broadcasting System has access to for the last 60 years. But they don't show you all the episodes. I'm a big fan of the TV show Taxi, if you know that show.
And you can actually find all of them on Hulu.
You can. However, if you're paying the $6 fee for CBS All Access, you can view different seasons of that TV show, but you don't get all the episodes. They purposely leave out. Yeah. And they give you ads. So you're paying them for access into this service, and they're still giving you ads.
So they've gone back and forth on that. Hulu's had ads, and then they have a paid service. And
well, no, see, I don't have a problem if for a free service having ads, no problem whatsoever. I'm fine with that. But if you're going to show me ads, don't charge me for the service. I don't mind paying for the content.
It's definitely a fine line, and that's double dipping. Yeah,
it's very much. And It would help if Star Trek Discovery was a better show, but that's a whole nother topic.
No, don't tell me that. I actually want to go see that.
It's all right. I'll tell you this. It's actually, if you take it for itself, it's a well-written, well-directed, well-acted science fiction show. However, it's not Star Trek.
I will probably find it on one of those other sites that have it.
Other sites.
I'm sure I will find it on there.
But getting back to Macintosh in the business world, something that people have been talking about for a long time is total cost of ownership, TCO. And when you look at total cost of ownership of a Windows PC versus typical Windows PC versus the typical Macintosh, the Mac actually comes out ahead. It's IBM did a study, and according to their study, they see a $270 cost reduction in those using Macs over those using Windows, which is part of the reason I think why they have opened up Macs for their business. And there's actually the 6 biggest companies that now allow Macs. There's IBM, General Electric, Concentrix, which I guess is a business services company, something called Oath, which is a collection of media and technology brands owned by Verizon, SAP, and the banking company Capital One, which kind of surprised me to see that on the list.
I think it was IBM or maybe some other company that had some statistics that were saying that they had to service PCs more than Macs, which was, I think, to a lot of Mac owners seems pretty obvious. But since they were such a big corporation, they just didn't know those numbers until recently, I guess. But yeah, you're getting viruses all the time. You're getting tech questions and issues that these employees were, bringing them in to have them work with their internal techs, basically. But it was just so much more time being spent on the PCs than the Macs that they just, I think by default on one of those companies, you get a Mac. You can choose a PC, but it's the opposite way around. Here you go. Here's a computer, and it happens to be a Mac. So it's.
And what company was that?
I don't know the name to that one. But they recognized that was just the easier decision to kind of default to that side. But,
well, I mean, you look at it from a tech standpoint. If you don't have to hire as many IT people to maintain your computer systems, then that's a win because your computers are up more often and you've got less overhead.
Definitely.
So, that all feeds into the total cost of ownership.
Seems pretty obvious on our side.
Yeah, it should be. If you'd like to call in and chime in on this conversation, you can go ahead and do so. You can reach us via the telephone number 701-801-4367, then dial 5. Or you can go to the MacToTheFutureGo.com website, MTTFGO.com, and then hit the link for the MTTF live player. And that's really all you got to do.
Hey, Guy, I have a present for you. Christmas present.
Free you do?
Christmas present.
Ooh, I like free.
So I have this Nano Control sitting around. I haven't used it for a while. I've used it for many different purposes from parties and actually a little controller that would control video for parties and controlled it for music and DJing, which if you look at it, doesn't look like a DJ controller because it's not, but it's a MIDI controller. It's a very, very basic MIDI controller that's pretty powerful. It's a Nano Control, and I think they have a second version, so if you Google it, you'll see the second version. I have the first version. But it is sliders and knobs, and that is all it is, and I think there's some transit controllers. But it's been laying around, so I don't know if you've got, $5 or something for shipping, I can send it on over. And you can Google it and see, hey, if I can use that or not use that. But I figure a MIDI controller for your setup might be pretty handy. Yeah,
we were actually talking about that before we went on the air. I was looking at, you guys can't see my OBS screen here, but I've got like 8, 9, 10 different scenes that I can switch back and forth to. Right now the one I've got set up has got the numbers underneath, but I've got one that doesn't have it. I've got one that's just going to bring up Mike. I've got one that has me, and I'm bringing them all up right now, Mike. That's got my little Mac to the Future livecast thing. I've got the ads set up here, the My Mac ad, the ad for Ed's book, closing credits, opening credit. I've got all these different screens that I bring up. The hard part is I've got just this little itty bitty tiny window, and that's how I have to select all of the different screens in OBS. And sometimes, especially if I've got a lot going on.
Have you mixed it up?
Well, not so much mixed up, but the little screen that has all the different scenes in it can be, let's say, less than cooperative. And so I'm pushing, like there's been a couple times when we've gotten to the end of the show and I want to hit the closing credits scene, but I can't get to it. So I'm sitting there frantically, I've already said, hey everybody, good night, we'll see you next week. And then it's like,
do you actually have to scroll? Because I know those scenes are not big, but just if you have multiple scenes, I think you have to scroll.
Yeah, you do.
Them. Yeah. Okay. So yes, a MIDI controller would be very powerful for you.
It would. It very, very much would. So yeah, just we can talk about it once we're done, and you just let me know however much the cost is, and I can either use because I know when I paid Warren for the Mac Mini and the monitor that I got from him a couple weeks ago, I sent that to him directly through my bank to his bank. But I can use PayPal. I can use whatever it is that makes you the most comfortable.
PayPal is usually pretty easy. I actually pay for shipping using PayPal, so if it actually goes to PayPal, it goes directly back out to shipping. So it's very functional.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that off the air. Well, no one's calling in, so what is wrong with you guys? Go ahead and give us a call. 701-801-4367, then dial 5, or go to the link that is shown. Blah, I can't wait until my teeth get fixed. I've got these 2 molars that they pulled in the back of my mouth here. And every once in a while, because I've been doing podcasting for a really, really long time. But with those two back molars gone, it's like sometimes my tongue is like, I'm going to go over here now. Then I just sound so weird. I have no idea why I'm talking about that right now. It's what I do.
So I ended up actually getting a new setup for this podcast just for showing up here as a guest. I actually used to do podcasting 6 months ago, and then I did at that time for about 4 months. So I did about 4 months of podcasting, audio only, no video.
Right.
And
well, that's what the My Mac podcast is.
Yeah, I ended up doing having a lot of different setup, a mixer, microphone stand, and then adding video today to actually just be here as a guest. I went through, I think, 4 different setups, and I was being very picky about, okay, well, I'm going to set up my phone on a stand, and then I'm going to do a microphone into the phone, and it's going to be really awesome, and it's going to work, and then it didn't work, and I think in the last 10 minutes before the show, I switched to a completely new setup. And yeah, I have actually my MacBook Air on a stand with the camera right in front of me, which I think is a 720p camera, which standard video, nothing special. I think it's less than HD, but I think everything gets compressed anyways by Skype, so you get to see regular video. But yeah, I had the cool video behind me, which is the Apple TV, which definitely kind of when I'm working, use it as a monitor. Sometimes I'll just watch video on it because I've got some pretty large speakers back here in the office.
We have a caller. Can you believe it? I wonder who this is. Whoops. Oh, come on. Make me drag it up like a caveman. Hey, Brian.
Hello.
What's going on? Brian Monroe, everybody.
Yes, it's Guy Searle. Hey there.
Yeah.
And random guy from Silicon Valley as well.
Yeah,
Hi.
and actually, I've seen you posting in different areas. Yeah, you are from South Bay or something?
Yeah, I'm actually here in Palo Alto. Actually, you're in would you say you
Santa
are
Clara. Santa
Santa
Clara.
Clara? Santa
Yeah.
Clara. Cool. All right, so we're close by.
I think I
Weather's
saw you
nice here these
posting.
days.
I think I saw you posting about Cupertino one time recently.
Oh yes, absolutely. You know, I went down over to the Apple opening house for the brand new visitor center for Apple's Apple Park. So it was fun.
Do they actually have some AR setup going on there?
Yes, as a matter of fact, they do. So they have a model. There are three parts of the visitor park basically there. One part basically they have is the AR augmented reality part, where they when you walk in there, basically have some specially preloaded iPads with like a Apple Park logo in the back of them, like other iPad Pros, basically, or something like that. Anyways, Wi-Fi only ones, of course. Anyways, and then they hand it to you, basically, and you can walk around this model, basically, it's kind of like a blank model, you know, and you walk around this table, and then you can actually see what it like comes to life, and you have the ability to see people inside the building. You can actually expand the top of the building, basically, to see inside of it, kind of thing. The Ring, basically, the Steve Jobs Theater, the fitness center, the parking lot, and everything else. It's pretty cool setup. It's really cool
So
stuff.
would you actually be able to see like kind of X-ray into the building? So the model is the model of the building, right?
Right, it's blank. It's basically the idea. So with there, it's a table with a model basically that's basically kind of like you just see the outside of the model basically, but not like it's a very it's blank. It's like gray or something like that. You know what I mean, right? It's like so, but there's not any real detail to it. But when you're looking at the iPad, it's really cool. Actually, you actually see the detail basically when looking at the iPad screen. Anyways, it's really cool. I'm gonna say
That is
anyways.
pretty cool. I actually always thought
And
AR was kind of a gimmick, but it
yeah,
seems like
no,
some pretty powerful features. I mean, that's pretty cool by itself, but I can understand like maybe a surgeon actually using AR or something to actually be able
well,
to
there's
see.
Virtual
honestly
surgery.
when I
What
see
could
this
go wrong?
stuff. Right. When I see this, when I saw this the demo of that, basically, I can understand where not only when you have like an iPad, but eventually, if we eventually do get some sort of glasses or something like that that actually work and aren't just like a gimmick kind of thing, or don't look good, feel like Microsoft HoloLens or something like that, you know, I do think there's actually some real potential for this kind of thing where you have the ability to becoming almost like cyborg, kind of like you have the ability to actually find more information about the world around you and have the ability to, not just see people's names and everything as you walk around, maybe that kind of stuff, but more importantly is for these kind of applications to say, well, I can actually see inside of a building and get like a more of an idea of a layout, that kind of stuff, where things are. Maybe like I said, maybe it's something that's doing wiring or something like that for a building and they know where all the wires are in the walls, basically, that kind of stuff, or a plumber or similar things for the plumbing, let's say, these kind of things, right? There's lots of applications, basically, right? Just
Apple needs to make one of those things. We need some glasses with that.
well, the rumors,
Apple
if the
glasses.
rumors are true,
Holy
basically
crap.
they're supposedly working on that in a car. So we'll see exactly what really ends up happening, anyways.
Well,
But
maybe
I mean, I
we
think
can
really
combine like a car with glasses. I mean,
is,
wouldn't that be
not
awesome?
sure.
You'd have a
Sure, why
car
not?
on your face. So yeah. For
Yeah.
people who are asking, this is Mike EDM. I guess a lot of
EDM,
people
that's
didn't,
right, Mike
didn't
EDM,
catch
that's right,
us
yes, electronic
right at the very
idiot.
beginning of the show. Mike EDM, he's a longtime regular on Mac to the Future, and he is the owner of electronic dance music and Zen Computers.
So yeah, Zen Computers in the South Bay, Santa Clara. Definitely.
And we have lots of people that are talking major smack about Android tablets.
Oh no,
Yeah.
we spoke of Android tablets.
Well,
So
this is Mac to the future, not Android to the future. So
I
I mean, hey,
know, but we can embrace all technology, and we'll sit
We
around
can.
in a great big drum circle and sing "Kumbaya."
Look, the reality is, no matter how many millions and billions of devices Apple ends up selling, they're not going to sell enough to meet the demands of the world, right?
No.
And that's why Android exists, just like the same way Windows exists for the same reason, So
Okay.
I think the reality to that, when I actually spoke of that tablet, I chose Apple over that tablet anyways. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I have clients of mine that sometimes they think, well, maybe I'm like, well, look, if you're already in the Apple ecosystem, it's like, why are you messing around? I mean, well, what's the point? I mean, you're looking for cheap price. Well, you can basically always get some deals on iPads as well. They're not like always have to get them the high end one, depending what your needs are. So
Yeah, Frank Petrie says virtual Volkswagens.
yeah,
So little cars that will force you to get off on the side of the road and be broken down. That's how that works.
or fail the emissions test or something like that, basically, right?
I think they're already working to get Surrey into the self-driving cars. You'll be able to talk to Surrey. So it's
well. Have you guys seen the concept of their new van? That basically their entire entertainment center and environmental controls and everything else will basically be an iPad in the middle of the dashboard.
And which
Well,
brand
just like
is this?
Tesla does that already, basically, almost kind of like, right?
Yeah.
So
And you know what? Before this goes on much further, Brian, you going to hang around for a little bit?
sure, why not?
Okay. We are going to take a quick pause for the cause. Everyone, hold on. We'll be right back with Mike, Brian, and I guess me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you a new Mac user or an old hand? Wish you could know the ins and outs, keyboard shortcuts, or hidden tips and tricks to make you more efficient using your favorite computer? Hey, it's your lucky day, because Edward Eisen has written a great guide to knowing more about the Mac and the OS that it runs on. It's called
I can hear you.
This is the Light Side, and it's available through Apple's iBookstore or with Amazon.
Okay.
Better yet, it's not a stuffy old book that
know.
gathers dust on the shelf once the next operating system is released, because it's an ebook that you can look at anytime
He's basically
you
playing
want. It won't get outdated
right
because
now.
it's
He's doing a
continuously
good
being
job
updated.
anyways.
Information on setting up your new Mac,
Exactly.
installing
we're
and
not
getting
being
rid
live.
of applications,
This is the light
security
side.
settings,
Edward
and what
Eisen.
to look out for,
Very
keyboard
important to give him the
shortcuts,
plug.
some basic app recommendations, how to use Windows
Ed is-
on your Mac,
yeah,
if you really want
definitely.
to, that is.
He's awesome.
Advanced
Yeah,
topics,
Warren's
searching,
good too as well,
using
but
iCloud,
Ed really
and
puts a lot
much
of
more. All
effort
this
into all
for
those
a
posts and
mere
stuff, so.
99 cents. Go to the iBookstore or Amazon and check out Edward Eisen's This is the Light Side. It's the book you want on your virtual shelf. Okay.
Funny.
I don't know. Could everybody hear? Okay, so they could still hear me. And I guess they could still hear Brian. I don't know why they couldn't hear Ed.
Well, I'm not sure why either.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, a lot
I'm
of things don't make
confused.
sense sometimes. I'm confused with a lot of stuff anyways.
I am so confused.
Sorry.
We have another topic. Or I'm sorry. God,
You're talking about Macs and business anyways, and I just wanted to say basically that the good news about IBM, I just want to make this point, and you were talking about this TCO stuff, but I'm really glad IBM had that study they came out with, that actually gives you some more ammunition for us to go out and say, look, business people, your business, use Macs in your business, it's going to save you money. It's like, especially if it's a situation where if you only have one or two pieces of software that's Windows you need to run, right? You're better off, if you can run it in a virtual machine, basically, then you're actually running it better, because then you can roll the VM back. The second Windows decides to make a mess of itself, and you actually have to roll it backwards. It makes it easy from a snapshot. You're back up running in 2 seconds,
Well, that's what Mike was talking about in the beginning because he was saying that a lot of the stuff that he's doing is web based, which means it doesn't really matter what computer it's on.
Well, I'm not going virtual machines, not web based, basically, right? I'm saying if you need to run desktop software, Windows desktop software still, and you have one or two pieces of software, that may not always be a good reason to keep a PC hardware around. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
I mean, buying a Mac and going down that route is at that point actually turning out to be a better way of running Windows software. You know what I mean, right?
Definitely in that scenario, a virtual machine.
There was an article from PC Magazine that was saying the best Windows computer was a MacBook Pro.
Absolutely, yeah,
and I agree with that.
Matter of fact, even the Windows loyalists, even like Paul Thurrott and others, they'll run Macs and they may do a boot camp or something else, basically. But it's like the hardware is just Apple just puts a lot of effort in the hardware. That's the point. So
Well, it should be the point.
I actually have a lot of different customers that have Windows on their Mac, and yes, they actually get from their company, they're handed a Mac, and they're like, "Great, okay, well,
Right.
I still have to put Windows on it. That's fine, but it's still a good, solid computer. Just the laptop itself, even
Exactly.
though
The
they put
hardware
Windows on there, they have their applications that they use. That's about it."
I will give it to people like Dell actually who do come out and will swap out parts and that kind of stuff when PCs, the PC does fail or something like that. But I would say in general, yeah, the hardware is just so much better on the Mac. And I mean, even the PC guys are trying to catch up, but they just don't do well. So,
okay.
Anyways, yeah. So,
Brian, you're going to be on next week, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'll be around next week, so we can chat then. That'd be fine.
Okay. Well, I'm going to hang up on you then. How about that?
Okay. Cheers.
We'll talk to you later.
Okay.
We'll talk to you soon, dude.
Bye.
Bye. Mike, the before we wrap this up tonight, something I wanted to ask you, but you kind of hinted at. Now, originally we were going to talk about USB-C and we were going to talk about dongles, but honestly, what I'd really like to hear about, I'd like to hear about that Hackintosh.
Yeah, I actually have a nifty Hackintosh, but there's one issue. Well, there's many issues with it right now, and it sucks because I would love to say, oh, I have a Hackintosh and it's awesome and, it's so much better. And right now it's not so much better. But
really,
I think the pros and cons are that you can have issues when you update. The solution is not to update. But that's it's for any work system, you don't update. That's the rule of thumb for any work system. You have applications that can go awry. You have work applications that might have plugins, and you update to a new Mac operating system, you can mess things up. Right now, I ended up actually upgrading to High Sierra and kind of messing up my system. But
well, where did you get your build? Because I know that there's some specialized software tools from Tony X Mac or I can't think of
Tony Mac 86X or X86.
Yes. Yeah, that
was it. It is the dedicated website for making Hackintosh. They actually are pretty easy to go on the website, look at a custom build, and it has a parts list. And it even has links to Amazon and some of the other Newegg sites to just click, buy, and since you have that list of parts, you put them together, and you have a very functional machine that other people have actually used, which is very, very helpful. So you have multiple people with the same system, and if they have an issue, you go back to the website, say, hey, my audio's not working. Oh, yep, had that issue. Here's you go. Here's the list, step-by-step of how to fix it. And it's super powerful to try to make a Hackintosh work pretty well. Unless you update, that's a rule of thumb.
That was so did the problems come when you updated to High Sierra? Is that where it started?
So yeah, I definitely don't want to blame High Sierra. It was basically me just updating in general. But yeah, the pros and cons. I'm changing the system one more time from what it was already at, which was working, to something new. Yeah, you got to update a couple different things. I think for High Sierra there was one or two KEX files, which if anybody knows KEX files, that's your driver.
Yeah.
Macs don't really talk about drivers too much, and your KEX file is a driver. But for Hackintoshes, you have specialized KEX files sometimes depending on your system. But some best builds of Hackintoshes actually use all the default files, except I think two major ones that are behind the scenes that really make that Hackintosh system work. But other than that, some of the audio drivers and other stuff just work, which is kind of cool.
Some of the problems that I've heard from using Hackintoshes have been things along the lines of Wi-Fi. Sometimes people have to go out and get Wi-Fi adapters. They can't necessarily use the built-in, some of the built-in networking features of whatever hardware it is they buy. So I've heard about some problems with Bluetooth, And again, the thing with Bluetooth is, and I'm doing that with this. I've got a 5.1 Mac Pro, and it has Bluetooth, but it's only like Bluetooth version 2. So you go out and you buy, a Bluetooth mouse, or you buy a Bluetooth whatever, and it comes with like a little USB dongle, and you plug that into a USB port, and now you've got Bluetooth version 4, or whatever it was that came with that little thing. So I know that while Bluetooth may have been an issue for some Hackintoshes, that's a relatively easy fix. The biggest problems I've heard with Hackintoshes has been audio.
So audio, basically you can get a board that has one of the chips that's near identical to what Apple uses, but not identical. And a lot of the kexes just work with one installer that does change, I think, a couple letters in it or something. So you can kind of make them work on a lot of different builds. And then when you update, you have to kind of search throughout the website to find another file. But other than that, Wi-Fi has always been an issue. A lot of the solutions now have been to actually get a PCI
Wi-Fi card?
Card that's actually a slot for Apple's PCI card. So you can actually get an adapter, and you would actually be using Apple's laptop Wi-Fi card, and that would completely work with just about everything. I think the other major issues were not AirPlay, but messages. Messages actually goes through Apple's servers, so you definitely have to do some kind of trick to actually make that work sometimes.
Basically fool messages into thinking that you're on an actual branded Apple computer.
Yeah, a lot of Apple computers actually go to Apple servers, and then they report back and say, hey, this is an Apple computer. And yeah, you can't do that on the Hackintosh very easily, but they actually do make things work. They do have some hacks to make that work, but that's definitely some rewritten files to make that work.
Well, do you get the feeling that Apple doesn't really care that much about people making Hackintoshes? That the one thing that really gets them going is if you try to make a business out of it, where you try to sell, branded computers that runs OS 10.
Yeah, there was one company a couple companies that were
SciStar was one.
And there was one that was actually just the board, and it was advertised to be Mac and PC compatible. And even though they weren't selling Mac with it, yeah, they got shut down also because it was just too close to saying, okay, yeah, this is a Mac, but it's not a Mac. It's it's still another board. And then there's other ones that have Macintosh installed on the Hackintosh already, and that's, of course, that was never going to really work. You're not selling Mac OS.
Yeah, that's not going to fly.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you to actually do the build? And did you get the parts list from Tony x86?
Yeah, I think 2013 or something, and I got one of their medium-sized builds, and it worked perfectly. I think I had an audio issue in the very beginning. Went back to the website, got a fix for it, and everything worked perfectly fine. I had a pretty powerful video card, played video games with it, and had a couple screens. And I think throughout the years, I had another issue with an update, and then the current issue with High Sierra, which I think I'm probably going to just do a new fresh install, and that would fix everything. My issue was I was trying to reinstall my not other operating system, but all my stuff basically, which I just have a lot of junk on my system anyways, so that wasn't helpful for things working. I think I had tried different drivers for audio in the past, so they were conflicting. So yeah, I had a lot of different conflicts. So I'll probably just go to a fresh install, and that will be perfectly fine.
Jerry Panetta is talking about the AMD hardware. Is there anything on that site to actually install the Mac OS onto AMD hardware?
So you can actually do it on any system. The complications with doing that is if you stray away from Apple original hardware, so you're not using a i7, basically you're using another type of chip, you can do it, but there's less of a crowd that support it because you do actually have to find some program out there that's reprogrammed a hex file to make your system work, your AMD system to work. So there's guys out there that have done it, but it's not a collection of programmers that have done it.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want to talk about tonight?
I don't know. No,
because we're at about 45 minutes, so we need to start kind of wrapping it up.
No, I definitely enjoyed actually time on here talking about this.
Terrific.
Talking about the tools and everything in Apple. No, definitely enjoyed talking about these things.
Okay, well, why don't you plug the stuff that you do, and let's get that out there.
Well, I am Mike with Zen Computers. We're down here in the South Bay. Phone number is 408-508-4622. We actually specialize in Apple computers, and I've been doing it for the last 6 years, and it's been great.
And if people wanted to get a hold of you, maybe to be a DJ or to have, work on their computers or what have you, is there an email or Twitter address that they can reach you at?
I actually do support just saying Mike EDM on Facebook. You can contact me anytime there. And actually, my phone's always open for everything. Any questions, any computer questions, and music questions.
And Mike is going to send me some links and the phone number, and those will be in the show notes. In the meantime, if you want to get a hold of me, you can contact me, Guy, at mttfgo.com. Of course, I am Mac Parrot over there on the Twitters, and we have a Skype telephone number that my golly gosh, you can call and give me all kinds of crap for the silly things that I do. It's area code 703-436-9501. And naturally, you can reach either myself or the infamous Gazmaz over there on the mymac.com podcast. We record that every single weekend. As a matter of fact, we are either 2 or 3 shows away from our 400th mymac.com episode that we've done together.
That's huge, actually.
It's amazing. It's it's nowhere near like Dave and John Mac Geek Gab territory, but for a guy from South Florida that can't typically find his ass with both hands, I think that's pretty good. That makes me happy. So anyway, everyone, thank you so very, very much for joining Mike and myself tonight. Next week, if everything goes as planned, and it doesn't always, the show isn't actually going to be on the Mac to the Future Facebook page. It's going to be through regular Facebook, and anyone will be able to come in and join us. Naturally as well, the Mac to the Future Go, mttfgo.com site will still be working. You'll still have the live player that you can get a hold of us through there. And I think that's going to about do it for the evening. Let me see if I can scroll down, because I don't have a MIDI controller to do all this stuff. And I think that's going to do it. So everybody, have a great night, great week, and I shall see you next time.
Have a good night.
Okay, we're back. Closing credits are done. What were you trying to tell me, Mike?
I was just saying if you could hear me.
Oh, yeah. The thing is, when the background stuff was going on, and I didn't realize it, because I hit mute when I ran the ad for Ed's book. I hit mute on both channels here on the mixer, but it was still going through. So... So everyone, I was seeing messages over there on Facebook. Oh, we can still hear you talking. It's like, oh shit. Okay, sorry.
I'm hoping my comment on Ed's book wasn't insulting then.
What was that? I didn't hear anything insulting.
They were. Your ad has a couple pages of the book itself.
Yeah.
I was saying that, well, now I don't have to buy the book. I've seen all 7 pages.
Well, at 99 cents, that's really going to break the bank.
I guess he could. But I had said, you've seen all 7 pages, and that was the other thing, which I don't know if it's 7 pages.
It's a really good book, actually. And, I'm not just blowing smoke up Ed's ass. It's especially for people that don't know anything about using a Mac. He's got some real kick-ass information in there. We're still live, aren't we? You know what? I am going to hold on a second. I'm going to stop us from actually transmitting to Facebook. All right, everybody. I'll have the edited version of the show out later tonight. It'll be up there on YouTube, and we'll see you next time.